We've all followed the story. The headlines were impossible to miss. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the very public unraveling of a decade-long love. We watched Ariana Madix walk through fire with a dignity that took our breath away. And now, the final report from the battlefield. The house is sold, the legal documents are signed, a settlement, we're told, for $3 million. And if this were just a story about real estate and revenge, we could close the book right there. But for anyone who has ever built a life with someone, anyone who has ever planted a garden or painted a wall or chosen a couch believing it would be the backdrop to your future, you know this story isn't about money. That settlement figure isn't a victory lap, it's a receipt. It is the stark numerical value assigned to the brutal, necessary act of letting go. Today, we're not here to talk about scandal. We're here to understand the profound, quiet courage in choosing peace over war, even when peace costs you the dream you once held most dear. To understand the weight of this settlement, we must first remember what that property in Valley Village really was. For the public, it was a plot of land, an asset on a reality TV show. For Tom and Ariana, it was the physical container for their promise. It was the blank canvas they bought together at the start of their 30s. Every brushstroke of paint was a statement of faith. That lemon tree in the yard, that wasn't just landscaping, it was an investment in future summers, in the idea of homemade lemonade for guests they hadn't yet met. Choosing a light fixture, arguing over tile, these weren't petty disagreements. They were the sacred, mundane rituals of co-creation. A house is bricks and mortar. A home is an agreed-upon future. It's the quiet understanding that the person next to you will be there to see that lemon tree bear fruit. It is the ultimate act of shared optimism. And that, more than any romantic gesture, is what made the betrayal so cataclysmic. He didn't just break her heart, he invalidated the blueprint. He took a sledgehammer not to a wall, but to the shared vision they had literally built together. So when the world saw a couple fighting over a $3 million house, what Ariana was really fighting for was the tangible remnant of her own belief, the last artifact of the woman she was when she still trusted. Letting it go wasn't a simple transaction. It was an archaeology of the heart, where every room demanded she sift through the rubble of what she thought her life would be. Which leads us to the most heartbreaking question of all. How do you put a price on a ghost? How do you assign a dollar value to the future you have to officially, legally agree to bury? These settlement negotiations, we can imagine, were a surreal form of grief math. It's an accounting no one ever expects to do. On one side of the ledger, appraisals, mortgage balances, market values, cold, hard facts. But on the other, how do you quantify the emotional equity? What is the line item for the energy of potential, for the thousands of casual conversations that began with, "when we're older in this house"? What is the depreciation schedule on a dream? The attorneys are debating square footage, while in your heart, you're doing the far more painful calculation. This number is what it costs to never have to hear his voice in this hallway again. This number is the fee for my own peace. And here is the surprising, almost inspirational pivot in this bleak arithmetic. Ariana, by all accounts, didn't fight for every last dime out of spite. She fought for a number that would grant her one crucial, priceless thing: clean severance, a clean break. No lingering financial strings, no shared investments, no reason to ever have to send an email, make a call, or be tied to him for one more day than absolutely necessary. That is the profound wisdom in this settlement. At a certain point in life, and our generation understands this better than anyone, you realize that some battles, even winnable ones, cost more in spirit than they return in victory. The $3 million isn't just money, it's a buyout. She wasn't just buying his share of the property, she was purchasing her complete and total freedom from the shared project of Tom and Ariana. She was funding her own future as a solo venture. But this leads to the final and perhaps most beautiful piece of this heartbreaking puzzle. Because once you've paid that staggering price for your freedom, what do you build in the empty space it leaves behind? This is where the story transforms from one of loss to one of astonishing resilience. Because Ariana didn't just let go of a house, she let go of the identity that was tied to it. For nearly 10 years, she was part of a unit, a we. The house was the monument to that we. By settling, by writing that final check, she wasn't admitting defeat. She was conducting a ritual release. She was making a tangible financial sacrifice to make the intangible break complete. And in the empty space that followed, a space both terrifying and vast, she didn't collapse. She began to build something new, piece by piece. Not a shared dream, but a self-constructed reality. She filled that space with Broadway lights, with a best-selling book, with a loyal circle of friends, with a new, fiercely independent business venture. She is showing us in real time that the energy you once poured into maintaining a shared life can be redirected, and when it is, it becomes a rocket fuel all your own. For those of us watching, particularly those of us with decades of life experience, this is the powerful lesson. The heartbreaks we endure later in life are different. They're not about first loves, they're about settled loves, about the futures we'd banked on. And Ariana's journey mirrors a choice we all may face: to remain entangled in the costly warfare of a broken past, or to pay a painful, upfront price for a peaceful future. The $3 million piece was her down payment on a life where her own name is on the deed, to her career, to her peace of mind, to her next chapter. So no, this isn't a simple story of winning or losing. It's a masterclass in emotional economics. It's about understanding that the most valuable things, peace, autonomy, a future unhaunted by the past, often have a staggering price tag. Ariana Madix wrote a check for $3 million, but what she purchased was something infinitely more valuable: the quiet of a morning where her own breath is the only sound in her home, the unshakable knowledge that every success now is hers alone, the profound, hard-won gift of being the sole author of her next chapter. She paid a heartbreaking price, but in return, she gained something no scandal can tarnish and no one can ever take from her: a peace that is truly and completely her own. Letting go is the most powerful investment you'll ever make.